Well, today I have the pleasure of interviewing two people. Kirsten has been a lifelong friend of mine. She's a third grade teacher at Mirich Elementary School, and Mike is the principal. So, thank you guys for taking the time today to help me with my project that I'm working on. What I've been doing with this is just interviewing people about their experiences and trying to get a collection of experiences so we can all begin to kind of learn from each other, and to create a dialogue about what we can do differently coming out of this. Because I think that this could be a great pivot point for humanity in general to be like, whoa, that was a kind of a scare. Maybe we should be a little bit more mindful and grateful for the things that we have going forward. If you guys would like to start with, how is the transition from normal everyday routines to switching to online education?
We have, I think, about 400 students in our building. So every day I would see, most of those kids, and every day we would greet at our door with a high five, hug, or handshake. Every single student in my class would do that. Most of them were hugs. And then we'd start our day and we'd start teaching. I taught math, science, ELA, and then we'd say our goodbyes at the end of the day. We would give our hugs again. And sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. I miss those hugs.
Yeah, I'm sure you miss the hugs.
The hugs that's the hardest part for me.
Yeah, you can't really virtual hug.
No, you can't. You can try, but it's not the same. Spring break was when we got told that we weren't coming back for 2 weeks. So I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to my kid. A week after spring break, we started virtual learning. It's been a hard transition for a lot of parents and students. They go from seeing their teacher every day for almost 8 hours to being on a computer and doing an assignment each day.
How do you keep kids on track sitting in front of a computer when you can't physically be like, hey, no, go sit down?
A lot of it has come to the parents. I will give praise to all of our parents for helping keep their kids engaged. Parents have really stepped up during this pandemic. To do a little bit of engagement, we've done virtual field trips. So I've posted for science, I posted a field trip where they went to the San Diego Zoo and picked an animal that they they were interested about, and watched the animal and stuff. So it's you really have to go outside the box for this to get them engaged.
So Mike, how's the transition been for you? Because I'm sure you have a lot of stressors with just employees and getting funding and everything. I'm sure there isn't a running a elementary school handbook during a pandemic.
No.
How's that transition been for you?
No, we don't have that manual, so
yeah.
It's gone in stages. Right now it's pretty crazy. But when it first started, it was pretty intense. It was pretty hectic at first because, you have a lot of parents wanting information. So I'm getting a lot of calls, getting a lot of emails. Teachers are, hey, what are we going to do here? What's this going to look like? And so just getting it all up and running was pretty intense. We got all the tech devices out, got the word out on how we're providing meals for families, getting supplies to families that may need them for their kids to do schoolwork at home. Just getting the whole operation up and running was pretty hectic. But then for me, it slowed down, and then it really ramped up for the teachers. They've been working pretty hard throughout the whole thing, where for me, it's more in the middle. It's been just, doing my admin thing, going to our meetings. I was just, wanting to check, make sure everyone's in this right frame of mind and hanging in there. And then now it's really ramped back up because we still have to get our end of year evaluations out. We have a lot of reports that have to go into the state. Now we have to start planning for the future, which nobody really knows what it'll be. So
how do you plan for such an uncertain future?
Yeah, and it's one of those things, you want to plan for it, but you don't want to plan too much because throughout this whole thing, things are changing literally daily. So I think right now we're just kind of covering the logistical pieces for next year.
Yeah.
you know, how would we serve kids? How would we do recess? How would we line up for school? How would we stay away from each other in the hallways? How would we go to the bathroom?
How do we stop kids from spitting on each other?
Yeah, I work with kids too, and they're pretty gross sometimes. The last person I interviewed, we talked a lot about innovation, of how it's always been important, but right now it's super important to be as adaptable as possible, whether you're a small business or a school. Pretty scary times, but I think it's bringing out a lot of good things and just human ingenuity in general. Have you seen any like positive outcomes from learning over the web?
Parent-student relationships have really grown. So many students of mine are learning things that they would have never learned had we been back in school, like do carpentry.
Mhm.
Some are teaching them how to like do engineering. Like for science this week, I had them build a roller coaster. So many parents are stepping up in this, which is huge.
I think one of the positives I've seen, you know, as a public school, we are guided by our Department of Education, and we have certain specific standards we have to follow. I think we've gotten far away from, you know, making school enjoyable and creative for kids. And I think this has given us an opportunity to teach what we want to teach and allow those kids, like you were saying, Kirsten, to learn how to build things and to be creative. So in that aspect, it's opened up some doors for some of the inquiry-based learning projects and just allowing kids to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That gives me the warm and fuzzies, because standardized testing can be pretty stressful for kids and for educators as well. So yeah, in the face of a pandemic, it's just like maybe we could take a break from the standardized testing. So that's awesome to hear.
I'm really hoping after this that they realize that maybe standardized testing is not beneficial.
That's essentially what this project that I'm working on is what can we learn from this experience right now?
We're running into all these deficits with budgets. It takes a huge amount of money to conduct all these assessments. So maybe it's something we forego for a couple of years while we're struggling through this, but
hey, yeah.
I doubt it, but
yeah.
I've also seen a lot of the virtual experiences kids can do, like going to museums that are on the other side of the world and just taking these virtual field trips. And
that's super cool.
I took my kids via Google Meets the other day to Disneyland. We got to ride the rides. We got to and there was like math involved, of course. It was like, if I want to get this food and this food, how much would it cost? And so many of them have never even been anywhere outside of Colorado. One of my students was supposed to go to Disney World before the pandemic and couldn't go. She really enjoyed that.
That's cute. Yeah, that worked out in a way the best it could. We talked a little bit earlier about the technological gap. How have you guys addressed families that don't have access to internet or computer and things like that?
So the computers, I mean, we're providing those. With the internet concerns, we had a certain amount of hotspots for families to use, and we quickly ran out of those. I think they were just offering resources of where families could go to companies that were offering cut rate or free internet access during this. So just trying to get word out to those families that need that help.
Good to hear that, like, everybody pulled together to give those resources. And that's also probably a silver lining too, of like kids that never had laptop now get to actually have one and play around on it, build some tech savvy skills. Along with that, whenever we face challenges, a lot of times it brings out the best in us of creating community support systems. So how has your staff and parents pulled together in certain ways to help out the children right now? Because I'm sure from their standpoint, I remember when I was a kid, I hardly understood what 9/11 was. So I'm sure this right now for them is kind of like a really abstract thing to understand. So how have you guys been able to work together to support them in such a uncertain time?
Some kids knew about it, but there was a lot that still were like, what's COVID? Like, And I was the teacher that was like, oh, you don't need to know about that. It's fine. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to teach you something if your parents aren't teaching it to you. You
Yeah.
know?
It's kind of like, who's God? Talk to your parents.
We need to be open and honest and really explain to them what's going on. A lot of my kids now know about it. I think that their biggest thing is that they just want to be at school again. But they understand that this is something that could change us, you know, as a society. And but we've really like built a community as a class. When we first started this, we did a parade for the kids where we drove to their houses as a staff and honked and waved, and the whole staff drove through the town of Lasalle. And now PTO is doing that for us next week for teachers. So I think that that's been huge, having that support from PTO, and our admin have been great during this and so supportive. If there's anything we need, just kind of check in with each other and make sure we're all still here for each other, you know.
One thing I've noticed is just how a lot of the parents have come together and just been really positive. I've just heard a lot of very positive comments about teachers and about telling us how much they appreciate us after being home now for this long, trying to educate their kids.
Yeah.
But it's really been above what I thought it would be. And like when we did that parade at the beginning, we had made this route and told, you know, all the families, here's when we'll be coming through. And I wasn't sure what to expect. And man, there were kids lining the streets. And we did it, I think, for the kids. But I think when we got back to the parking lot, the teachers were just blown away and just kind of emotional, and just how much it meant to us. Yeah. And how much just seeing them all, they were holding signs and waving and cheering. So it was really cool.
We've also done Spirit Week this whole time, which I think has been good for kids. I know I've had a lot of kids participating in that. It kind of gives them something a little more fun to do.
Yeah. So then going forward in our post-COVID era, whenever we get there, what lessons would you like to carry on into that time?
One thing I've seen, I think kids are going to really appreciate other kids. And I don't know if it's going to make kids kinder or whatever, but hopefully that all, you know, it's not forgotten once kids go back to school. But that's one thing I've really heard most of anything, is just how much they miss that interaction.
My students, the first day of remote learning, they were already video chatting with each other as a class, and I like texted Mike and was like, is this okay? I just want to be heard. He's like, yeah, they need that interaction.
I get them too. I get these kids messaging me, hey, what's up? And they have like 4 or 5 kids in the chat. The
thing that I want to carry on is just to be grateful of things. Like, I didn't realize how much those morning hugs meant. You know, I knew I loved my morning hugs, but I didn't realize how important they were to my life. Not being able to give those hugs just breaks my heart. So, you know, coming out of this, just enjoying those little things. I think we get so wrapped up in our lives and living, you know, what was normal for so long, and, you know, going places and doing different things that, you know, I've really missed that. And so just taking little things for granted and being more compassionate and caring towards others, because you just never know, you know, when you won't have that interaction anymore.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys can have like one big group hug when everybody gets back. I think it's different for people who work in education too. Because so much of our day, we're just surrounded by all these kids constantly. I mean, you get hugged all day, or high fives, or kids telling you goofy stories and jokes. And I mean, that's been my existence for a long time. And then I'm sitting here alone in this room all day, to just come home and it's me and my dogs. And yeah, they're looking at me like, come on, dude, let's go.
Yeah. Why are you here all the time?
Yeah, that's probably what they're thinking, but.
Yeah, definitely being around children, I think it's just good for your soul, good for your spirit to be around that type of youthful energy. And yeah, I could see that definitely within, for educators not having that anymore could be a big hit to, yeah, just your mental well-being. Right now, parents are probably experiencing a lot of gratitude for you all as educators, of just like, you're learning this stuff, I have to learn it too, this is hard. I'm sure having them do a little bit of that is giving them a lot of gratitude. From all of us, thank you for what you guys do.
Thanks.
I've heard that from a few people.
From a few people, darn it, I wasn't the first one. Pretty much every spirituality practice and neuroscience now is telling us that that's the key to happiness, is being grateful for things. So I think when everything does go back to normal, we can realize how thankful we should be for the things that we took for granted for prior to this. Mike, do you have anything that you're grateful for right now, and things that you'll be grateful to have back in the future?
I've talked to my wife about this a lot. I just think how lucky both of us are, because she works from home already, so she's fine. And then I'm working, able to remain safe and not have to go out and expose myself. And I've just thought about so many people that just don't have that luxury. I think of so many parents we have. Well, we're asking them to educate their kids all day and do whatever job they have, or go out and try to find more work. And then on top of that, they're stressing about bills that they have coming, and are they even going to be able to stay where they're staying? And just, so I'm just very grateful for everything I have. And dealing through this stressful situation, it's nothing compared to what other people have had to do. So just very grateful for that. Try to be more reflective on what you have and what are the good things in your life. I know just the people I work with, I love the people I work with. I really miss that interaction. Like a week ago, me and a few other non-classroom teachers that work in the building, we went and did some door-to-door deliveries for teacher appreciation. It wasn't anything big, but it was just to let them know we're thinking about them. And man, it really hit me. That first door I went to, I was like, wow, it was really cool. And I was like, I didn't realize how much I miss these people I work with.
When he came to my house and dropped off that gift, I was like,
Aw.
oh, like, this is so sweet. And then we had our PTO come and drop off signs, and I cried when those students and that mom like were at my door. I was standing there. I was like, I miss you guys. And it was so hard just to not like embrace those two, because those are kids.
I know. I was ready to give them big hugs. The one thing I think about is whatever we do in the fall when we're supposed to start again, there's going to have to be a lot of compassion and compromise and cooperation with everybody, because I know there's going to be some people who are like, we have got to have these kids back here, and I don't care at what cost, they've got to be here. People have to work, and I get that. I hope some of these the goodwill and feelings we have now carry over to that. Mm-hmm. Because it's going to be stressful. It's already stressful as we start planning it. There's going to have to be a lot of cooperation for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point to make, because I think as we face challenges, they kind of bring us together. The longer this goes on, I think the tensions are going to get higher and higher, and it will be harder to cooperate. So I think that kind of goes along with the rest of this project of let's start talking about these things now, about the lessons that we're learning, and how to work together to create a better path forward. Once we started talking about it at the district level, somehow somebody brought something up about coming back. So I was just like, I just threw it out there, and hey, there's a good chance that it's not going to look like it did before. So we need to start talking about it. And then I had people tell me later, you made me really sad in that meeting.
That was a hard meeting.
When we make decisions, I like to get a feel for everybody, what they're thinking, what their ideas are. And we have a lot of smart people that, offer good opinions. So, at the end of the day, it's reality, and we're going to have to start thinking about it so we can plan together.
Yeah, as this keeps going, it might be more challenging to have differing opinions. So we're definitely going to need to really work together and make those hard decisions. So yeah, I don't envy you. But just talking to you briefly, I know that you'll make the decisions that will be best for the students and best for the teachers as well.
Yep.
So
We will try.
yeah.
Well, it makes it easy for me because all my teachers, I mean, throw their heart and soul into it. So
Yeah.
I can honestly say I don't have one teacher that isn't always here for what's best for the kids. And I've worked in schools where that's not the case. So, I mean, we don't have anybody who's there for a check or because it works for their schedule or whatever. I mean, our teachers truly care about all these kids and pour their heart and soul into it.
Well, attitude reflects leadership. So you guys gave a lot of good insight on what it is to be an educator, and kind of what our kids are going through, as well as parents, and teachers and everybody up the administrative chain. Because yeah, they're our future, and this is a strange time for all of us. But yeah, it would be hard to wrap your head around all this as a kid. So it's really inspiring to hear that you guys are doing some great work, providing them resources, and giving them some flexibility to kind of explore some new creative options and stuff like that. I really enjoyed hearing that.
It's been therapeutic.
Yeah,
To talk about it.
Yeah, actually, these sessions have been very therapeutic for me. And that's why I keep trying to encourage people, like, have these discussions outside of like an interview format, because everybody has a unique experience right now and everybody has unique ideas to share. As bad as things are, I think there's been a lot of silver linings, and kind of because I keep asking about those, but they're there. Everybody's learning something a little bit different about themselves or their surroundings, and I want to create dialogues that get people thinking about that so that we can continue to carry on those things. We can be a little bit, like you said, Mike, reflective about what we've learned and how to carry on, and to take this as like a warning that we do need to change certain things about how we live and how we relate to each other. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to share your experiences with everybody.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
having
you. I
us.
appreciate it.